Uh, very good evening. Very good evening. Today I'll start with block 7. This is theories of social stratification. So we have unit 25, 26, 27, and 28. So first let's discuss unit 25. This is concepts of difference and inequality. So in this unit, I am going to talk about what are the two concepts, difference and inequality, and what are the major theoretical perspectives. Okay. So first of all, difference and inequality. Uh, in general, uh, what is inequality first? Inequality is uh, it constitutes the basic component of the phenomenon of stratification. Okay, basic phenomenon of stratification in the society. Stratification is what? Stratification means the system, uh, it's a system by which the society or a system of stratification when the society is dividing something in different strata or different layers. So stratification in the society, which some of the established sociologists, they have extensively done a lot of work. So first of all, in general, inequality refers to the imbalance in quantity or size, then value, degree, status, etc., etc. So this often implies an imbalance in ability or resources to meet a challenge. So when we say inequality in societies in general, this is seen in case of caste system, class system, gender, and power relations. Okay. So here we are going to talk about difference and inequality conceptual understanding. This is in page number 105. Um, So first of all, these two concepts, difference and inequality, these are very central in social theory, particularly when we understand social relations, power dynamics, and identity formation. Okay, so what is difference here? Difference means it's a kind of recognition of diversity. Diversity means the various types, the recognition of diversity or the distinction between individuals or groups, often in terms of cultural, ethnic, gender, social, or we can say other characteristics. So it is an inherent important aspect of social life that acknowledges that people are not identical in their backgrounds or we can say experiences or identities. So difference basically it highlights variation and heterogeneity, and there are different aspects of this concept of difference. What are these? First is cultural difference. When we say cultural difference, that means we are talking about the language or customs, religion, etc. And biological difference, there comes gender or physical traits, etc. And when we say social difference, that means uh, class or education. Okay, so in many contexts, difference doesn't imply value judgments. It is merely about recognizing distinction between groups or individuals. Okay, this was about difference. Now let's talk about what is inequality, the concept of inequality. Inequality means uh, inequality, that means in equal, that means unequal access to something. Unequal access to something means access to resources or unequal access to opportunities and power based on these differences. So it arises, inequality arises when the social structure or institutions provide uneven advantages or disadvantages to certain groups. Okay, ଆମ society বা social structure বা institutions ଯେତେବେଳେ unequally uneven ଭାବରେ କିଛି ଯଦି distribute କରିଥାଏ କିଛି group ମାନଙ୍କୁ okay uneven ମାନେ even ହେଇ ନଥିବ ତ ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି the concept of inequality. And inequality is hierarchical. Hierarchy means gradation, okay, layer. So inequality is hierarchical and it reflects a power imbalance where some groups are privileged while others are marginalized or oppressed. Okay, so inequality to be different types ochi or the systematic factors. These are economic disparity. Economic disparity koile we'll take the example of income inequality. Then social stratification. When we say social stratification, the example comes like class, race, etc., etc. And inequality also in terms of discrimination and exclusion. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ discrimination exclusion କଥା କହୁ say for example racism, sexism, etc., etc. So inequality implies that the differences between groups or individuals are not just recognized but valued on and treated differently in ways that lead to unjust or imbalanced outcomes. Okay, so these are the concept of differences and difference and inequality. So what is the difference or uh, the relationship between difference and inequality? They both are interconnected. Okay, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ differences କଥା କହୁଛେ like race, gender or class, their differences become the basis for unequal treatment when they are embedded within systems that create and perpetuate inequality. However, recognizing difference doesn't always lead to inequality. It is when social structures institutionalize and valorize differences that inequality arises. ସବୁବେଳେ difference କଥା କହିଲେ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ difference କଥା କହୁଛେ ତା ମାନେ ନୁହଁ ସବୁବେଳେ differentiate କରିବା ମାନେ ସେଠି inequality ହିଁ ଥିବ ସେଟା ଜରୁରୀ ନାହିଁ. Okay, so this is the relationship between these two concepts. In general, ଯଦି ଆମେ କହିବା difference is about diversity while inequality refers to unjust means uneven bhavare jo distribute kara jaithibo or unequal treatment based on that particular diversity. Okay, so understanding both concepts is essential in addressing issues related to social justice and equality. Okay, so there comes Andre Bete's definition of two aspects of social inequality. I mean page number 106, second paragraph. Andre Bete, 1969, he suggests two aspects of social inequality. One is distributive aspect and relational aspect. Uh, uh, okay. Mm, just a sec. So there are some points. Please you do it yourself. Okay, you have to read it. There comes page number 108. This is natural and social inequality. What are the types of inequality? Natural and social inequality. When we say these these are the two distinct but interrelated concepts which are used to explain different types of disparities in society. Okay, so first is natural inequality. What does it mean? Natural inequality refers to the inequalities that arise from inherent biological differences between individuals. That arise from, I repeat, inherent biological differences between individuals. So these differences are typically seen as unavoidable and natural, such as, for example, we can say physical differences, where comes height, strength, or appearance and other biological traits. Okay, it is inherent biological differences between individuals. Then another example, cognitive abilities like variations in intelligence, talent, or mental capacity, etc., etc. Okay, the proponents of the concept of natural inequality, what they argue is that some degree of inequality is inevitable because individuals are not born equal in terms of physical or intellectual capabilities. So this perspective is often linked to biological determinism. এই biological determinism जोटा कि focus करे कि natural traits largely determine one's opportunities or status in the society. Okay, this is natural inequality, and what is social inequality? Social inequality refers to the inequalities that arise from social, economic, and political structures within a society. Okay, so unlike natural inequality, social inequality is shaped by human actions and societal decisions. Uh, it means it is historically constructed and changeable. Okay, so under the social inequality, what comes? Economic inequality. When we say economic inequality, let's say, for example, the differences in wealth, income, or access to resources. Okay, and what about political inequality? It also comes under social inequality. Political inequality means disparities in access to power, decision making processes, and political rights. Okay, so and when we say cultural inequality, these are coming under social inequality. Okay, cultural inequality kotha कहले आमे basically कहू social status, education, or social opportunities based on group membership. Okay, for example, race, class, gender, religion, etc., etc. And the last one, institutional inequality, it is also coming under social inequality, that is discriminatory practices embedded in institutions like education, law, healthcare, or employment. Okay, so social inequality is largely driven by social structures, and it can be reinforced by laws, policies, or and cultural norms. So, unlike natural inequality, social inequality is man-made, and often it can be challenged or reformed through social change. Say, for example, policy interventions or social movements. Okay, so that's it for these two concepts, natural and social inequality. Um, let's now talk about very important section. This is major theoretical perspectives. This is one of the important portion here in this unit. Major theoretical perspective. What do you mean by perspective? Perspective means um, what are the theoretical aspects or how the thinkers they have given their views on specific concepts like stratification, because we are talking about social stratification. That means social stratification ଉପରେ different thinkers ତାଙ୍କର କ'ଣ ତାଙ୍କର ମତ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ସେଟା ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା in major theoretical perspectives. So social stratification, the hierarchical arrangement of individuals or groups based on factors like wealth, power, prestige, um, is studied from various theoretical perspectives. Okay, each perspective offers a unique way to understand how and why inequality is structured in society. ମାନେ different perspective ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ୟୁନିକ୍ ୱେରେ ସେମାନେ ଆମକୁ ବୁଝେଇଛନ୍ତି କେମିତି ଆଉ କିପରି ଆମେ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟିଟା କେମିତି ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟିଟା କେମିତି ଚାଲିଛି ହେଲା ଏଟା ହେଲା perspective. So let's now talk about the three major theoretical perspectives. The first one is functionalist perspective. Functionalist perspective, who are the functional thinkers? They are Emile Durkheim, Kingsley Davis, then Talcott Parsons, Wilbert Moore, etc., etc. So when we say functionalist means functionalist perspective means the thinkers who are talking about the concept, that particular concept, whether it is social stratification or social movement or etc., etc. The thinkers who are talking about the functions of the society. ମାନେ ସେମିତି ଯଦି ଆମେ କହିବା conflict theorist or conflict perspective means they are talking about the dysfunctions of the society. Okay, so functionalist perspective, they argues that social stratification serves an important function in the society by ensuring that the most qualified individuals occupy the most important positions. Okay. According to this view, social inequality is necessary for the proper functioning of society. I'll give you one small example for the proper functioning of society. And stratification ensures that people are motivated to fill roles that require different levels of skill and expertise. এটা তুমি ନେଟ୍ରେ ବି ପାଇଯିବ, ବହିରେ ବି ଅଛି, ଦେଖିଦେବ. I'll give you small example कि social stratification ଉପରେ functionist कौन कौच कि stratification serves an important function in society by ensuring that the most qualified individuals occupy the most important positions. Let's say in your class, okay, social inequality is necessary. এটা କହୁଛନ୍ତି functionalist. तुम क्लास रे तुम गोटे असाइनमेंट लिखिल, असाइनमेंट रे जी अति भल करिछि मु आउट ऑफ 20 19 देछि एंड आउ टिके जी कम भल करछन्ती तांको 15, देन ता तळको जी पिला 10 10 15 19 एम्ति कैटेगराइज मु करिछि. ओके, सेटा जो करिछि फंक्शनलिस्ट कहउछन्ती कि एम्ति मैम ए हायरार्किकल जो ग्रेडिंग करिछन्ती सेटा भल करछन्ती. Why भलो? Because तଳ जी लोएस्ट ग्रेड 10 मार्क्स पाइछन्ती, ऑफ कोर्स नेक्स्ट टाइम असाइनमेंट पई से आउट के हार्ड वर्क करिवे so that she will achieve that 15 marks or 19 marks. तो एठी फंक्शनलिस्ट माने कहउछन्ती कि एई भाबरे जो ग्रेडेशन रैंकिंग मैम करिछन्ती सेथि पई तळ पिला भी से इंप्रूवमेंट करिया पई चेष्टा करूछन्ती. ओके, से आउट के चेष्टा कले और भलो मार्क्स मिलिबो. सो एटा फंक्शनल वे रे काम कला, मु लोएस्ट रैंक देछि बोली तो एटी फंक्शनल रैंक कला. सेति पई को जाउछि सोशल इनइक्वालिटी इज नेसेसरी फॉर द प्रॉपर फंक्शनिंग ऑफ सोसाइटी. तो से तळ रैंक वाला झियोटा जदी आउ टिके भलो करिवो, दैट मीन्स क्लास टा पुनी इंप्रूव, क्लास रो इंप्रूवमेंट ही गला. जो माने सब 10 रे अछनी से माने जदी 15 पाइ जेबे, दैट मीन्स आई विल सी कि मो क्लास रा इंप्रूव करचंती छ माने. The stratification ensures that people are motivated to fill roles that require different levels of skill and expertise. Okay, so here we will see this is actually very important portion. A theory जगह रे मु कहा को रखी भी कहा को छाड़े मु निजे जानि पाउनी. But anyways, Davis Moore तांकर hypothesis कोन? Kingsley Davis and Wilbert E. Moore, MOORE, से कहउछन्ती the system of social stratification is beneficial because it ensures that the most talented and qualified people are placed in positions that require high skill levels and significant responsibility. These individuals are rewarded with higher income, status, or power. So basically, they are focusing on the concept of role allocation. Role allocation के लिए कौन बुझाए? Some roles, for example, the role of a doctor or the role of an engineer. These roles are more demanding than others, so they should be more highly rewarded to motivate people to acquire the necessary skills. Okay. This is in page number I am not getting. I think it's in 110 or 11. Somewhere it is. Some roles, like doctors or engineers, are more demanding than others. So they should be more highly rewarded to motivate people to acquire the necessary skills. ସମସ୍ତେ ଡକ୍ଟର ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟର ହେବା ପାଇଁ ବହୁତ ତାଙ୍କମାନଙ୍କୁ ମୋଟିଭେଟ୍ କରାଯାଉଛି ବିକଜ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହିଦେଉ ଆମ ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ଜଣେ ଡକ୍ଟର ତ ମନରେ ଅଟୋମେଟିକାଲି ଗୋଟେ ହାଇ ରେସ୍ପେକ୍ଟ ଆସିଯାଏ है ना ତ ରୋଲ୍ ଆଲୋକେସନ୍ जो some roles that are more demanding than others. So a Wilbert and Moore বা functionalist theory thinkers ମାନଙ୍କୁ um, there are some people also those who will not like the functionist perspective, so they are criticizing this perspective. So criticize କରି ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କହିଛନ୍ତି critic ମାନେ the critics of functionist perspective, particularly the conflict theorists, argue that stratification is not always based on merit and often benefits those in power rather than ensuring fairness or social efficiency. I repeat, they say stratification is not always based on merit and often benefits those in power rather than ensuring fairness or social efficiency. Stratification system टा ସବୁବେଳେ मेरिट ଉପରେ बेस्ड न थाए କାହିଁକିନା ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଡକ୍ଟରଙ୍କୁ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରଙ୍କୁ ହାଇ ରେସ୍ପେକ୍ଟ ଦଉଛେ ବଟ୍ ସ୍ଟ୍ରାଟିଫିକେସନ ସିଷ୍ଟମରେ ଏଇଟା ସବୁବେଳେ ନୁହେଁ କି ମେରିଟ କୁ ହିଁ ବେସ୍ କରିକି ସ୍ଟ୍ରାଟିଫିକେସନ ହେଇଛି ନା है ना मेरिट मीन्स हार्ड 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 वर्क करके जदि की हितबो बट आम स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन सिस्टम रे यू कैन सी कास्ट सिस्टम आसुची रेस सिस्टम आसुची आर दे इन द सेम कास्ट ड्यू टू देयर मेरिट नो they are in the caste system is also coming under stratification and this caste system they are getting that particular surname or caste by birth जन्म ହେଲା ଦିନଠୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସେଟା ମିଳିଛି The stratification is not always based on merit and often benefits those in power rather than it ensures fairness or social efficiency. Okay, and that's it about functionalist thinkers. Let's now talk about conflict thinkers, the conflict theory. This is Karl Marx or the conflict theory of social stratification emphasizes the role of power, exploitation, and inequality in shaping social hierarchies. Are you all getting my point? Please say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So according to this conflict perspective, stratification reflects the interests of dominant groups who use their power to maintain their privileged position, often at the expense of marginalized or subordinate groups. I'll give you the example. Social inequality is not seen as functional or necessary, but rather as a result of economic and social exploitation. If you remember Karl Marx example of the two class, the bourgeois and proletariat, bourgeois or the capitalist class and proletariat or the labor class. Okay, ଯାହା ପାଖରେ power ଅଛି the dominant, they are the dominant, ସେମାନେ dominate କରୁଛନ୍ତି the proletariat or the working class को because they have the power कि ଆମ ପାଖରେ power ଅଛି ଆମେ ଏଇ position ରେ we are privileged. Okay, so ଆମେ ଯୋଉ privilege ଟା ଆମେ ଯୋଉ enjoy କରୁଛୁ that is at the expense of the marginalized or subordinate groups ଯୋଉମାନେ ତଳ category ର ଅଛନ୍ତି marginalized section ମାନେ ସେମାନେ ପଛକେ ବଳି ପଡୁଛନ୍ତି but ଆମେ ଆମର particular privilege ଟା enjoy କରୁଛୁ. The social inequality is not seen as functional. ଯଦି social inequality କଥା ଆମେ କହୁଛେ is it does it seem functional? No, because ଏଠି जो कैटेगराइज करा जायछि कैपिटलिस्ट माने हायर प्रिविलेज पाइबे देन वर्किंग क्लास लोअर ग्रेडेशन रहिबे माने तांको सबऑर्डिनेट डोमिनेट सबले करा जिवो तो एमती हैला टू देयर इज लॉट ऑफ एक्सप्लॉइटेशन तांकर एक्सप्लॉइटेशन ऑफ लेबर इकोनॉमिकली एक्सप्लॉइट होचंती एंड सोशली एक्सप्लॉइट होचंती तो एटा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थिंकर्स कहउचंती. So Karl Marx he has focused on class struggle, and what he argued is social stratification arises from the economic system. Specifically, the relationship between the bourgeois or the owners of the means of production and the proletariat, uh, the one or the working class. Okay, so the bourgeois controls the resources and exploits the proletariat, that leads to inequality. Okay, proletariat ମାନଙ୍କୁ ସେମାନେ ଟର୍ଚର କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲଏଟ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି and ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଲେବର ପାୱାର କୁ ସେମାନେ ନେଇ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ବୁର୍ଜୁଆଜ ମାନେ। So in the society ଏଠି କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ନା inequality ଆସୁଛି। Okay, then comes Max Weber. Max Weber, he expanded on Karl Marx by emphasizing that social stratification is not only about economics but also involves status. Karl Marx ସବୁବେଳେ status party এই ସବୁ କଥା କହି sorry Weber, Max Weber এই କଥା କହୁଛନ୍ତି। ତ ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି social stratification is not only about economics but also involves status, means the prestige, and party means the political power. So Weber argues that power is distributed in more complex ways with various groups for influence, not just through economic ownership. ଯାହା ପାଖରେ ଅଧିକ ପଇସା ଥିବ ଏଟା ନୁହଁ କି he is privileged, but ଯାହା ପାଖରେ ପାର୍ଟି ପାୱାର ଥିବ या फिर social prestige ବି ଥିବ ସେଇଟା ବି social stratification ଖାଲି economics context ରେ ଆମେ କହିଲେ social stratification ଚଳିବନି, rather social stratification को social prestige way ରେ या फिर political power ଯାହା ପାଖରେ ଥିବ ସେ ଉପରେ ବି କହିହେବ। ओके, तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थिंकर्स क्रिटिक्स माने कौन कहते critics of conflict theory ସେମାନେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି it can be overly deterministic and fails to account for instances where people may rise through social stratification despite power imbalances. Okay, conflict theory ମାନଙ୍କର ଏଇ जो ତାଙ୍କର perspective को those who are criticizing they say it can be overly deterministic and fails to account for instances where people may rise through social stratification despite power imbalances. Okay, power imbalances the someone is having more power and the lower gradation he doesn't have power, so ସେଇଠି जो inequality होची and it can be overly deterministic, already ଆମେ mind रे नहीं जाइए कि he got that much vote so he is powerful. Okay, तो एटा हला conflict theory perspective raw criticism. Now, the third perspective, third major perspective, that is Weberian perspective. Uh, uh, Here we will be talking about specifically Max Weber. Max Weber's his perspective on social stratification builds upon Karl Marx theory but introduces a more complex and multidimensional view. कौन से multidimensional view? That social stratification is based on three interrelated dimensions. Social stratification is based on three interrelated dimensions. One is class, then status and party. Class कहले कौन? Economic position कथा कहूचे, wealth, income, education. Status, when we talk about status, that means we are talking about social prestige or honor, जोटा कि determine होता है through lifestyle, education, occupation or community रे हमारा stand कौन? Okay, सेटा है status. And then third is party. Party means political power, those who have who are the influential persons, political power, which can be independent of class or status and refers to an individual's or group's ability to influence decisions and policies ना ସେଇ जो पावरफुल ମାନଙ୍କର पावरफुल इंडिविजुअल रो बा पावरफुल ग्रुप रो जो ability ଅଛି कि ସେମାନେ गोटे डिसीजन नहीं परिबे, डिसीजन मेकिंग रे तांकर रोल अछि and they can influence the policies. Okay, so that is party. And Weber कहउचंती कि these dimensions of stratification are interdependent but not always aligned. It means that a person may hold high status but low economic class or vice versa. जरूरी नहीं ଯାହାର ହାଇ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ୍ ଅଛି ତାର ଇକୋନୋମି ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ଭଲ ଇକୋନୋମି ବି ଥିବ ସେଇଟା ଜରୁରୀ ନାହିଁ ଓକେ या फिर ଯିଏ ଇକୋନୋମିକାଲ ବେଶୀ ପଇସା ବାଲା ହେଇଥିବ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ପොଲିଟିକାଲ ପାୱାର ଥିବ ବୋଲି ବା ହାଇ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ୍ ଥିବ ବୋଲି କିଛି ମାନେ ନାହିଁ okay and what are the criticisms how the critics वेबरଙ୍କର थियोरी को critics कौन କହିଛନ୍ତି they have criticized Weber's theory for being too complex and abstract it and making it difficult to apply in practical real world contexts. Some argue that it lacks the concrete explanatory power of Marxist or functionalist perspectives. You just remember this only thing कि Weber's theory is criticized due to being very complex and abstract. That's it. You just write. That's it. Okay, so here each perspective offers valuable insights into the understanding of social stratification, and together they help form a more comprehensive view of how inequality is structured in society. Okay, so let's now talk about the debate. This is in page number 111. The debate. Debate रे जो अच्छी Tumin Koro, these are very important points from point number 1 to 7. I am not going to read it. Uh, uh, just a second. Say overall, mm, David, you need to read, please. This is basically summarizing the all three functional conflict and Weberian perspective and Davis more Tumin how they are criticizing and what they are saying in that particular context. Please read it. Okay. Now let's talk about. We are already 7:13. Mm. Rise of meritocracy. This is 115, page number 115. Rise of meritocracy. This is published in 1958 by Michael Young. He's it is a critical exploration of the idea that merit-based systems of advancement, particularly in education and employment, can lead to social inequality rather than the equal opportunities they promise. So, Michael Young coined the term meritocracy uh, to describe a society where power and resources are distributed based on individual merit such as intelligence, ability and effort. Okay, ସେମାନେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ନୁହେଁ ସେ ମାଇକେଲ ୟଙ୍ଗ ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି मेरिट बेस्ड सिस्टम्स टा जोटी मेरिट रे आमे रखुचे कि जणे हायर रैंक देन मिडिल रैंक देन लोअर रैंक जदि एजुकेशन सिस्टम रे आमे मेरिट रखुचे कि जणे फर्स्ट हबो देन जणे सेकंड आसीबो थर्ड आसीबो एम्प्लॉयमेंट सेक्शन सेक्टर रे जणे एम्प्लॉय है ना मंथली जो अवार्ड पाती कि वेरी हाईली टैलेंटेड एम्प्लॉय एंड देन लोअर ग्रेडेशन जहाँ भी तो इट आल्सो लीड टू सोशल इनइक्वालिटी ओके बिकॉज जरूरी नहीं समस्ते पढ़ी किंतु जनकर हाईएस्ट मार्क रहिला दैट डजंट मीन अन्य माने भी मेहनत न करिसंती ना है ना तो इट लीड्स टू सोशल इनइक्वालिटी rather than equal opportunities they promise okay so Michael Young he coined the term meritocracy to describe a society जोठी की पावर एंड रिसोर्सेस गुड़ा डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होउची इज बेस्ड ऑन इंडिविजुअल्स मेरिट जेमती इंटेलिजेंस एबिलिटी एंड एफर्ट को क्राइटेरिया करे आमे मेरिट रे रखुचे okay so what are the major theme of this rise of meritocracy it is a system of inequality okay like meritocracy करले कौन होची it leads to greater social division in this system The most intelligent and capable individuals, often the privileged class with access to better education. Suppose जे बेसी रिच पिला क्लास रे जने रिच पिला हेथिबो तार भलो ताको मटेरियल मिलुची तार he can access better education rather than जने poor class रो पिलाटा अछि. तो the capable, most intelligent and capable individuals rise to the top, while those less privileged or born into poverty, despite their efforts, remain stuck at the bottom. Okay, the এটা Michael Young, he is critiquing. Okay, so ତାଙ୍କ visionରେ meritocracy, the talented are able to justify their dominance as deserved, while those at the bottom are left with the belief that their lack of success is due to their own failure or lack of merit. So this leads to moral and social stratification. ଜଣେ ଯଦି highest mark ପାଇବ and he is already rich, he can have better access to education, but ଜଣେ poor ପିଲାଟା ତାର access ଭଲ ନାହିଁ, ତ ସିଏ ସେଠି ମୋରାଲି ଡାଉନ୍ ହେଇଯାଉଛି କି ହଁ ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ମୁଁ ନିଜ ଫେଲିୟର ଯୋଗୁଁ ମେ ବି ଲୋୟର ଗ୍ରେଡ୍ ପାଇଲି, ତ ସେଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ମୋରାଲ ଆଣ୍ଡ ମୋରାଲରେ ତାଙ୍କର କ'ଣ moral and social stratification, um, and as meritocracy becomes a way to perpetuate privilege under the guise of fairness. ଏଠି କୁହାଯାଉଛି କି fair treatment to all, but ଏଟା meritocracy କଲା ବେଳକୁ ଏଟା ହଉନି ନା, under the guise of fairness, ମାନେ privilege ମାନଙ୍କୁ only the privilege ମିଳି ଚାଲିଛି. Okay, so Michael Young also argues that meritocracy creates a new elite based on intelligence and achievement rather than inherited wealth or birthright. These elites believe they have earned their positions and are therefore justified in their power and privilege. Meritocracy ଯୋଗୁ ଏ ଯୋଉ new elite group ସେମାନେ ଭାବନ୍ତି କି we are already privileged, we have earned our this position because we have the privilege and we have the power. Okay, so okay, then just a sec. Let me conclude. Okay, so Michael Young's this rise of meritocracy, it basically what it does, it challenges the notion that merit-based systems inherently promote fairness and equality. Instead, it presents a powerful critique of meritocracy as a mechanism that, while claiming to reward individual ability and effort, often reinforces existing social and economic inequalities, creating a new elite while perpetuating exclusion and division. ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି କି ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ରାଇଜ ଅଫ ମେରିଟୋକ୍ରାସି ଏ କୋଉ କଣ୍ଟେକ୍ସଟ କୁ ଚ୍ୟାଲେଞ୍ଜ କରୁଛି कि मेरिट बेस्ड सिस्टम हेले इनहेरेंटली गोटे फेयरनेस इक्वालिटी मिलिबो स्टूडेंट माननको कहउचंती, बट इट एक्चुअली एटा कोन रिप्रेजेंट करूची कि पावरफुल क्रिटिक ऑफ मेरिटोक्रेसी एज ए मेकानिज्म. एमती कला बेलको जो माने रिच in the right sorry, while claiming to reward the individual ability and effort, individual ability and effort को हमें खाली करूने because he is already privileged and he has access to get better opportunities rather than जने poor पिला, poor student. So it often reinforces existing social and economic inequalities. ଆମ society रे जो economic inequalities, social inequalities ଅଛି ତାକୁ again reinforce କରୁଛି ବା promote କରୁଛି. So ସେଟା କଲାଠୁ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି society ରେ ଗୋଟେ new elite class prevail କରୁଛନ୍ତି. Okay, ସେଇଟା prevail ହେଲାଠୁ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି society ରେ ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି division, exclusion, etc. etc. Okay, so overall, in general, the degree of stratification varies in different societies. Simple societies are less stratified than complex societies that are characterized by large number of social classes, ranks and groups differentiated on the basis of economic and socio-political criteria. So all societies are, however, stratified to lesser or larger extent. Okay, so that's all about unit 25. Now come to unit 26. So this is class. This is also an important unit. Unit 26. This is on class. We'll be talking about the theory of class structure and class struggle. Basically, a 19th century रे, class as a category came to be recognized as a relevant concept in explaining social theories. ଆମେ जो क्लास सिस्टम कथा कौचे 19th सेंचुरी रे एटा को अधिक भाବରେ रेकग्नाइज करा हैला कोन पाई सोशल थ्योरी आइडियोलॉजी या फिर सोशल मूवमेंट सोशल स्ट्रक्चर एंड सोशल चेंज रे okay so first is what is the concept of class कहले कोन बुझाए in sociology social class कहले it means a group of individuals within a society who share a similar socio-economic status, often based on factors like wealth, occupation, then income, education, and family background. Okay, social class, sociology रे हमें social class कथा कहले एटा बुझाउची. So these groups are often arranged hierarchically with varying levels of or varying degrees of access to resources, power and opportunities. ये जो group माननको ସେମାନେ जो arrange करा ହେଇଛନ୍ତି society रे hierarchically ମାନେ different strata বা layer ରେ जो तांको arrange करा जायछि সেটা কো বেসিস রে अरेंज करा जायछि on the basis of their access to resources का पाखरे केते resources अछि का पाखरे केते power अछि केते opportunity अछि से से को क्राइटेरिया करी तांको ग्रेडेशन करा जायछि ओके सो क्लास सिस्टम रो बा क्लास रो कोन एस्पेक्ट्स so social class is a key aspect of social stratification the way societies organize individuals into hierarchical categories uh, based on various factors okay same thing as a socio-economic status socio-economic status is linked to social class that means which refers to socio-economic status. It refers to an individual's position within a society based on factors like income, wealth, occupation, etc. etc. So these are the concepts related to class and class consciousness. What is it? When we talk about sociological perspective by Karl Marx, uh, he emphasizes on the role of class consciousness. If you remember the example I have given, ଯେତେବେଳେ proletariat ମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟ ମନ ଭିତରେ class consciousness ଆସେ कि ହଁ ଆମେ ଆମକୁ exploit କରାଯାଉଛି capitalist ମାନେ ଆମକୁ ଏମିତି torture କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତ ଆମେ ଦିନେ କ୍ଲାସ୍ କନସିୟସନେସ୍ ଆସିଲେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ରିଭୋଲ୍ଟ ଆଣିବା ପାଇଁ ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ଯାଇକି ସେମାନେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବେ ଓକେ ସୋ ଯୋଉଠି Karl Marx emphasizes the role of class consciousness, where individuals within a specific class become aware of their shared interests and struggles, potentially leading to collective action. ଯେତେବେଳେ they are getting aware about their interests, about their struggles, then they kind of collectively organize themselves to um, do the revolution. Okay, so collective action ଆସୁଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ collectively arrange aware ହଉଛନ୍ତି so that is class consciousness okay ଆଉ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ historical context of class ଦେଖୁଛି theories of class just a sec it's in page number uh, the classical view this just a sec okay this is in page number 121 the classical view Aristotle. Aristotle ki an ancient Greek philosopher. Uh, he is the most influential classical. He has given classical views on class structure in his writings. That is politics and something. His writing I don't actually remember. Um, Politics and something, something ethics or something like that. Though he did not use the modern term class, his work reflects a foundational understanding of social stratification and economic inequality. So basically, he is talking about the threefold division of society. Aristotle is talking about the threefold division of society. First is the rich or the oligarchs, rich, those who have greater wealth and power, the oligarch. And second category is the poor, means those with little or they have no property. And last is the middle class. They comes in between the rich and poor. They possesses moderate wealth and virtue. Okay, so this is the first thing he's talking about, the threefold division of society. Um, then he is talking about the role of middle class. That means the middle class as the most stable and virtuous group in the society. Um, uh, he says, like a strong and sizable middle class is essential for political stability and justice. As why it is essential, because it could mediate between the extremes of wealth and poverty. Mediate between whom? The rich and the poor. Okay, and then uh, Aristotle, he argues that extreme inequality undermines the common good. Uh, How? Because the rich may become arrogant and oppressive, while the poor, they may become resentful and rebellious. So this creates conditions for class conflict, tyranny, all of which threaten the police or the city state. Okay, and he's also Aristotle also linked class to moral virtue, where he believes that the middle class possesses the right balance of wealth and character to participate in politics wisely and ethically. So, in contrast, the poor, they lack leisure and education, and the rich were prone to indulgence and corruption. Okay, so this is Aristotle. He emphasizes on balance and moderation, and his ideas remain relevant in modern political thought, particularly the debates over inequality, democracy, and the role of the middle class. So that's it about Aristotle. Let's now talk about Friesel. Karl Marx. Karl Marx on the class. Karl Marx' theory of class is foundational in the study of social stratification and inequality, uh, where he viewed class as a relation to the means of production. Because when he talks about the class, he's basically talking about their relation to the means of production, and the society as fundamentally divided into two major antagonistic classes: the capitalist or the owner class, and the workers or the labor class. So Karl Marx, he saw class struggle as the engine of historical change, because in, if you remember, in the historical materialism is what? There he is talking about the history. History means the society, and materialism means the matter. Like in each society, at that particular society, say for example, যদি আমি feudal society কথা কହୁଛେ, then what are the material basis in feudal society? এই କ'ଣ agriculture, because agriculture ରେ ସେଠୁ କ'ଣ ହବ କି ସେଠି landlord ଥିବେ and ଯାହା ପାଖରେ land ନଥିବ, landlords and serfs, they are the two antagonistic class. Okay, serfs are they are uh, um, ନାଇଁ landlords ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, serfs ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ଅଣ୍ଡରରେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. Okay, so এটা হচ্ছে antagonistic class. So historical, he's talking about class struggle as the engine of historical change. মানে class struggle টা কেমিতি society রে changes আনিଛି. And while highly influential, Marx's perspective has been both celebrated and critiqued. Okay, কেমিতি because um, Marx is talking about structural inequality. Okay, he highlights the deep economic roots of social inequality, uh, showing how ownership and control of resources shape power dynamics. Power dynamics who केमिति सेव करा जाउची थ्रू द ओनरशिप एंड कंट्रोल ऑफ रिसोर्सेस जहा पाखे अधिका धन अछि अधिका पावर अछि से माने डोमिनेट करछंती सोसाइटी को है ना सोसाइटी रे डोमिनेशन प्रिवेल होची कहार जो माने हाईली पावरफुल और दोज हु हैव द रिसोर्सेस तो सेठी से कहउछन इकोनॉमिक रूट्स ऑफ सोशल इनइक्वालिटी and Karl Marx karo, class conflict, it is also a driving force. Class struggle, it is a driver of social change that remains relevant in understanding the labor movements, revolutions, and reforms throughout history. And Karl Marx also is talking about the concept of exploitation or the concept he has given surplus value extraction. What is surplus value? Uh, the concept of exploitation powerfully explains how profit depends on the unequal relationship between capital and labor. Surplus is exactly what? Something which is left. Like per day, the capital proletariat, for example, very general example, in a factory, every day, the Reynolds factory, okay, every day there the workers they are supposed to produce 10 pens within 6 hours, 10 to 4, within 6 hours they have to produce 10 pens, okay. But when capitalists they say you produce 12 pens, 12 pens and give extra 2 hours, okay. तो ସେମାନେ 10ଟା ରୁ 6ଟା ଯାକେ ରହିଲେ କାମ କଲେ and they produced 10ଟା ବଦଳରେ 12ଟା ପେନ୍ produce କଲେ but ସେ ଯୋଉ extra production ଆଉ ଦିଟା ଯୋଉ ହେଲା ସେ ଯୋଉ extra ଟା ହଉଛି সেটা কে নଉଛି ক্যাপিটালিস্ট সে যে এক্সট্রা জিনিসটা সেটা হলো সারপ্লাস ওকে তো সারপ্লাস ভ্যালু এক্সট্রাকশন ইট ইজ বিং এক্সট্রাক্টেড বাই দ্য ক্যাপিটালিস্ট okay. And historical materialism already I spoke that materialist conception of history where he emphasizes how economic structures influence the culture, politics, and ideology. It is a major shift from idealist philosophies. Okay, so these were about Karl Marx uh, theory of class. Let's now talk about class. Okay, this is in page number 124. Class and Class Conflict in Industrial Society by Ralph Dahrendorf. Ralph Dahrendorf. He is a basically German sociologist. He offered a revision of Marxist class theory in his work Class and Class Conflict in Industrial Society. ତାଙ୍କ କାମ ହେଲା Class and Class Conflict in Industrial Society, which is published in the year 1959. So basically, what is his argument? He argues that Karl Marx's view, though important, needed to be updated for modern post-industrial societies. His theory, Dahrendorf's theory, is often associated with conflict theory, but it diverges from traditional Marxism in several key ways. ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଏଠି ଆଉ ଟିକେ modernist ways ରେ ଟିକେ update କରିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ. What is it? ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି authority is the basis of class division. Karl Marx କହୁଛନ୍ତି property or the resources is the basis of class division. But ଇଏ କହୁଛନ୍ତି authority as the basis of class division. Okay, he focused on the ownership of the means of production. Karl Marx and Dahrendorf's he talks about authority or the command over others as the central basis for class conflict. ଯାହାର ବେଶୀ authority ସେ ବେଶୀ powerful society ରେ ତ class conflict ରେ ଯାହା ପାଖରେ ବେଶୀ power ସେ ହିଁ dominate କରିବ. So in every social organization, especially in modern bureaucracies, some individuals hold positions of authority like dominant class, while others are subject to it or the subordinate class. ସବୁବେଳେ subordinate class ମାନଙ୍କୁ dominant class ମାନେ torture କରିଥାନ୍ତି. So this creates imperatively coordinated associations. For example, corporations or government agencies where authority is structured and hierarchical. Okay. Darendorf also talks about that in advanced industrial societies, ownership is less relevant than one's position in authority structure. তার অর্থ he is talking about the shift from economic to organizational conflict. Okay. Then he also says that classes are the conflict groups. Social classes are conflict groups because it is based on authority relations, not economic relations. And conflict is inevitable, conflict be joruri and functional. Darendra କହୁଛନ୍ତି that conflict is inherent in all societies and not necessarily destructive. Conflict ସବୁବେଳେ destructive ହେଇନଥାଏ, ଏଇଟା society ପାଇଁ ବି ଜରୁରୀ ଥାଏ because class conflict leads to social change and reform, particularly in democratic societies that allow for negotiation and compromise. Okay, so that's it about Darendorf's theory. Let's now talk about class and status by Max Weber. Mm, oh my God, this is 7:36. Okay, Max Weber. Uh, in short, I'll just explain. Uh, he offers a multidimensional theory of social stratification, which expands upon and diverse from Karl Marx class analysis. ଯେତେବେଳେ ମାର୍କ୍ସ ଫୋକସ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି primarily on economic class ଉପରେ ଯୋଉଟା କି based on ownership of the means of production, ୱେବର କହୁଛନ୍ତି କି ଗୋଟେ complex model or ଯୋଉଟା କି the complex model that distinguishes between class, status and party. Okay, class, status, party କଥା already ମୁଁ କହିସାରିଛି. Class जोटा कि determine करुच्ची life chance को, and status group they may have limited wealth but still they command respect and influence. And party affiliation, it can affect an individual's ability to shape society independently of class or status. Okay, so Weber's analysis of class and status, it provides a comprehensive framework for understanding modern social stratification. Okay, so by distinguishing between economic class, social status and political power, Weber he shows that inequality is multidimensional. This inequality, it involves both in material resources and symbolic recognition. Um, okay, so let's now talk about what is next. This is class struggle. Class struggle already you know of Karl Marx. जोटिकी basically आसिबो conflict between social class primarily over the control of the means of production, land, capital, labor, etc. उपरे. And theory of class struggle आसिले importance कहार main role आसे historical materialism, जोटा कि material by economic conditions and social order, जोटा कि is shaped by how people produce and distribute goods. So the mode of production, and the conflict arises when these arrangements become oppressive or outdated. Okay, that is historical materialism. Second is he is talking about the opposing classes. There are the two classes. One is the dominant and the second is the subordinate class. Dominant means the capitalist and subordinate is the proletariat or the poor class, working labor class. Okay, and then in the class struggle, he is also talking about exploitation and surplus value, as you already know. Um, Surplus value and economic exploitation leads to alienation and growing resentment among workers. Alienation, I already told you yesterday, alienation means escape from. ଜଣକୁ alienate କରିକି ରଖିବା. Okay, alienation and growing resentment among workers. Then ତାଙ୍କ लेबर क्लास मानकर बा प्रोलेटेरिएट मानक भितर गोटे क्लास कॉन्शियसनेस आसिले देन सेमाने रेवोल्यूशन करिवे सो दैट सोसाइटी रो बुर्जुआस माननको कैपिटलिस्ट माननको थ्रो आउट करिवे. ओके, सेटा पॉसिबल केते बेला होबे जेते बेले कलेक्टिवली सेमाने କାମକୁ ମିଶିକି କରିବେ। ଓକେ, ତାପରେ ଆସିବ ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ଡାଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକାଲ ଚେଞ୍ଜ। ଡାଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକାଲ ଚେଞ୍ଜ, ଡାଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସ, ଡାଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସଟା ମାର୍କ୍ସ କୋଉଠୁ ଆଣିଛନ୍ତି? ମାର୍କ୍ସ ଇଜ ବିଙ୍ଗ ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସଡ ବାय ହେଗେଲ। ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି dialectics to class conflict, ତା ଅର୍ଥ every class society contains internal contradictions, ଯେମିତି କି rising inequality that eventually leads to its overthrow and replacement by a new system. um, okay, so Karl Marx ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି class struggle is the engine of history, uh, driving social transformation from feudalism to capitalism and then ultimately to communism. Okay, communism means the stateless society. So his theory remains foundational in critics of capitalism and in understanding how economic structure uh, produce inequality and resistance. Okay, and next. Next is the concept of social mobility. This is in this is page number social mobility 130. Okay, okay, sorry, 130. Um, Social mobility कहले कौन बुझाए? The movement of individuals or groups within a social hierarchy, which can involve a change in social status, class, or economic position over time. It reflects the openness of a society and the degree to which people can move upward or downward based on their merit, effort, and other structural factors. So there are types of social mobility. সেটা তোমানে পঢ়ি দেব please. Vertical mobility, horizontal mobility, intergenerational, integrational, এইসব আছে. And what are the factors that led to mobility? Education, occupation, economic policy, cultural capital, discrimination, etc. So what is the sociological significance of social mobility? সেটা ଗୋଟେ important aspect. What is the significance? Social mobility is used to measure social equality and fairness in a society. High mobility suggests an open and meritocratic society, while low mobility reflects rigid stratification and persistent inequality. And it is a key concept in the study of social stratification, class system, and modernization. So that's it about. Okay, this unit is over. Let's now talk about discuss unit 27. 27, this is gender and social stratification. So here we will be talking about gender and social stratification from cross-cultural perspective, and we have Marx and Weber stratification system. Gender in class stratification theories attempts uh, just a sec, just a sec. Mm. Okay, gender in class stratification theories attempts to uncover the sources of structured inequality and social change. Okay, so first of all, gender in class stratification theories. Okay, gender. Uh, the integration of gender into class stratification theories, it represents a crucial attempt to uncover the hidden dimensions of structured inequality and to understand the dynamics of social change. Traditional class theories, such as the theories of Karl Marx or Weber, primarily focused on economic relationships, often overlooking gendered power relations within both the workplace and the household. It um, what are the important aspect here? First is the feminist critic or feminist scholars who argues that classical class theories are androcentric. Androcentric, that means it is centered around male experiences. कि मेल माने सेमाने केमती कोन अफेक्ट होचंदी से सब कथा कुआ जाउची बट टोटली दे आर इग्नोरिंग women's labor. Okay, how women's labor, particularly the unpaid domestic work, जो घरे जो अछंती महिला माने सेमाने जो घरे दिन चांको कामरे अछंती एंगेज्ड अछंती दे आर अनपेड ता बदଳରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ କିଛି ମିଳୁଛି କି they are getting no payment. So, a women's labor, how women's labor, particularly unpaid domestic work, contributes to the reproduction of class structures. Okay, and ସେଠି reproductive labor କଥା ବି କହୁଛନ୍ତି how the role of women in social reproduction. Social reproduction means we are talking about the child care or the housework. ହେଲା women ମାନେ ଯୋଉ social reproduction କରୁଛନ୍ତି that is crucial for sustaining the labor force, yet it remains undervalued or unpaid, reinforcing gender based class disadvantages. um, and also here intersection of gender, class, race and other identities, which helps explain why women's experiences of class stratification differ significantly across the different contexts. So first, let's now talk about Weber, Marx and stratification. This is in I'm in page number 137. Okay, so Karl Marx and Weber, they are the foundational theorists in sociology. Jahankar ideas hochi, uh, their ideas are have been shaped. Uh, just a sec, just a sec. Yes, their ideas have shaped our understanding of social stratification, like the structured inequality between different groups in society. So, while both recognize that stratification leads to social inequality, their theories differ significantly in focus, complexity, and underlying assumptions. ତା ଅର୍ଥ କାର୍ଲ ମାର୍କ୍ସ କହୁଛନ୍ତି କ'ଣ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ପର୍ସପେକ୍ଟିଭରେ resources, power, sorry, resources. Say aspect रे he is talking about stratification, whereas Max Weber से केमिति social prestige या फिर power से dimension रे social stratification कथा कहउचंती कि सेमानकर stratification leads to social inequalities. Okay, and but सेमानकर theories टा टिके टिके differ करूची on the basis of their focus, माने कहार focus property resources ऊपर रहउची आ कहार focus social prestige बा power ऊपर रहउची. So Marx' perspective on stratification are already I have told two three times. Still, I in briefly I'll explore. So main basis of stratification for Karl Marx, this is economic inequality, जोटा कि ownership of the means of production. He is also talking about the two model of class, bourgeois and capitalist. Then comes class conflict, जोटा कि class struggle uh, uh, is the engine of historical change and eventually it will lead to a classless society or the communism. Classless society means communism or the stateless, headless society, okay, where everything will belong to everyone. So critics, they have argued Karl Marx's model is too economically deterministic and it doesn't account for non-economic forms of inequality like gender, race or prestige. Karl Marx is talking about a lot things on economy, resources, etc. But he is totally ignoring the gendered aspect, racial aspect and prestige things. Okay. And while talking about Weber's perspective on stratification, Weber he is giving a multi-dimensional view that economic class matters, but he added two more dimensions. Sorry, three more dimensions. যেটা কি class, status and party. Class ହେଲା economic position বা market situation. Status is the social prestige or honor and party is the political power or the ability to influence others. So, Weber, he says stratification is complex and fluid. Uh, uh, Means it is flexible, more flexible and pluralistic with people holding different ranks in different dimensions. Okay, and he's talking about the status groups. It is based on ethnicity, religion, lifestyle, or education, that factors not strictly tied to economic position. जोटा कि for Karl Marx, factors are totally based on economic position. Okay, so and critics they say Weber's model is too fragmented and it lacks a clear explanation for structural change. So overall, while Karl Marx emphasizes economic structure and class conflict as the root of stratification, Weber presents before us a more complex view that incorporates economic, social, and political factors. Okay, so let's now talk about in 138, page number 138, gender and social stratification in cross cultural perspective. Gender and social stratification, they are deeply interconnected and their relationship varies significantly across cultures. Okay, in a cross cultural perspective, gender based stratification is what? Just a second. So, sorry. Gender based stratification refers to the unequal distribution of resources, opportunities, power, and status between men and women, shaped by cultural norms, traditions, and social structures. When we talk about cross-cultural perspective, okay, so there is universality with variation, like while gender inequality exists in nearly all societies, but the degree and form of stratification vary. है ना? Degree and form of stratification रे vary କରୁଛି. For example, patriarchal structures dominate in most cultures, but matrilineal societies uh, they may grant women more authority in family and lineage matters. Say, for example, in South India, there are matrilineal families or a matrilineal society. Okay, so they may grant women more authority. Women ମାନଙ୍କର ଅଧିକ authority ମା ମାଙ୍କ ମା ଏମିତି ତାଙ୍କର ଜେନେରେସନରେ ଏମିତି lineageଟା ଏଇ ହିସାବରେ ତାଙ୍କର authority vary କରେ. Okay, first thila universality with variation. Second, division of labor. We are talking about cross-cultural perspective. So across cultures, there is a near universal gender division of labor. Gender division of labor को कौन बुझाए? Where men typically control the public, political and economic domains, and women they are relegated to reproductive and domestic roles. However, who performs what work varies culturally. କିଏ କୋଉ କାମ କରିବ ସେଟା depend କରୁଛି then access to education and property. So, in many cultures, women have limited access to land ownership, formal education, and inheritance rights, uh, and reinforcing their subordinate position. Yet, but some cultures, for example, certain African tribes or Scandinavian countries, they have uh, seen more egalitarian shifts, access to education and property. And there is also impact of globalization and modernization. Globalization जोटा कि challenge करिछि and it reinforced gender stratification. In some regions, it has opened new economic roles for women. In others, it has intensified exploitation, such as in gendered labor migration. Okay, so that is gender based social stratification, which is a global phenomenon, and it is shaped by cultural, economic, and political contexts. So across cultural perspective, uh, it reveals that while patterns of gender inequality are widespread, their expressions and justifications are culturally specific. So understanding these variations is essential for crafting more effective, culturally sensitive strategies for gender justice and um, what's it, equality. Okay, so now the next is status of women. This is 27.4, page number 140. Uh, just so we are talking about a status of women or understanding the gender stratification. What is the role of ideology and production? Okay. Um, the interlinkage between cultural ideology and participation in production. So we need to talk about the interlinkage between cultural ideology and participation in production. So these two dimensions, what societies believe about gender and how individuals are integrated into economic life. These two dimensions together shape the unequal distribution of power, resources, and status between men and women. Okay, so first let's talk about the ideology. Okay, or I mean gender role, the cultural construction of gender roles. So gender ideology refers to the beliefs and norms that define what is considered appropriate behavior, roles and attributes for men and women. That is gender ideology. So a ideology, say for example, I'll give you a very small example. In many patriarchal societies, what is patriarchy? Archy means authority. Patri means the family in which there is archy or the authority is being imposed by the male head. Yeah. Indian society is the patriarchal. Okay, male mane dominate karanti. So in many patriarchal societies, women are socialized to prioritize um, caregiving and submission, which legitimizes their exclusion from leadership and high status roles. Patriarchal society रे women ମାନଙ୍କୁ already socialize ଆମେ କରିଥାଉ कि you have to do these things, this work, caregiving, then you have to become submissive ମାନେ ଦବିକି ରୁହ and so ଏଇଟା କ'ଣ କରେ that legitimizes their exclusion from leadership. ଏଇଟା ହେଲେ ସେମାନେ ଟିକେ ଡରିକି ରହିବେ leadership या फिर हाई स्टेटस रोल ये को ଯିବେନି. Okay, so first color ideology, second is participation in production, okay, or access to economic power. So the division of labor by gender restricts women's access to valued economic roles. In many culture, men control the land, men control the capital and formal employment, whereas women's contributions often is in unpaid or informal sectors. These are also undervalued. Okay, and when women are excluded from productive labor, it limits their economic independence and reinforcing dependency and subordination. ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯଦି ତାଙ୍କ କାମ ପାଇଁ କିଛି pay ନ କରାଯିବ, they are excluded from the productive labor. Productive labor କ'ଣ ଯୋଉଟା କି men ମାନେ କରନ୍ତି, land capital, formal employment, office ସେଇ ଯୋଉ type ର labor ସେମାନେ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, they are getting paid. କିଛି ତାଙ୍କୁ ମିଳୁଛି. So they are doing the productive labor and women, they are the unpaid laborer, unpaid worker or informal sector ରେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. So they are excluded from the productive labor, ଯୋଉଟା କି productive labor ରୁ exclude ସେମାନେ ହଉଛନ୍ତି. That means economically independent ହେଇପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି because for the money they have to be dependent on the male head. है ना? तो ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ they are it reinforces dependency and subordination. So greater participation in formal and remunerative work has often led to shifts in gender roles and ideology as seen in some post-industrial and globalized societies. Okay, so uh, this is done. Uh, let's now talk about page 141. This is in Indian context. Actually, ଏଇଟା ତମେ ନିଜେ ପଢିଦବ. Okay, Indian context ରେ କି କ'ଣ କହିଛନ୍ତି ସେଇଟା just explain ହେଇଛେ. Then comes caste and gender. There are uh, caste. Caste is what? Caste is a system of social stratification by which an individual gets his name according to his birth, है ना? And gender is a social construct, है ना? So Castro, what are the characteristics? First is exclusion or separation. Please এটা তুমি পড়ি দেব. Rules governing marriage contract and hierarchy, the principle of order and rank, interdependence. Okay, these are the characteristics. And there is also judgment relations. Have you heard about it? Judgment relations means there is the judgments and camins. Um, they both are interdependent. Uh, Judgment relations, short-term contractual affiliation between artisans and service caste, and landowners, cultivators, traders, and relations of exchange among occupational castes, a feature of many rural and semi-urban areas, function at the level of family. ମୁଁ judgment system ର ଗୋଟେ example ଦଉଛି। ଆଚ୍ଛା, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ଘରେ କିଛି ବି ଫର୍ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ୍, ଇଟ୍ସ ଏ ଭେରି ଜେନେରାଲ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ୍, କିଛି ବି ଘରେ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ପୂଜା ହେଲା, ହେଲା, ସପୋଜ ବାହାଘର ବ୍ରତଘର ଯାହା ବି ହେଉଛି, ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉଟାକି ଗାଁର ପୁରୋହିତ। ଓକେ, ସେଇ ପୁରୋହିତ ଆସି ଘରର ସବୁ ଯାକ ପୂଜାପୂଜି ସେଇ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ କରିବେ, ହେଲା। ଆଣ୍ଡ ମାନେ ପ୍ରତିବର୍ଷ ଯେବେ ଯାହା ବି ଫଙ୍କସନ୍ କରୁ ଆମେ ସେଇ ଗାଁର ପୁରୋହିତକୁ ଡାକିଥାଉ, ହେଲା, ଜଜମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ କାମିନ୍ସ। ଆଣ୍ଡ ସେମିତି ହେଲା, ଜଜମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ କାମିନ୍ସ, ସେ ଜଜମାନି ସିଷ୍ଟମ ହେଉଛି ଗୋଟେ କାଇଣ୍ଡ ଅଫ୍ ସର୍ଭିସ୍ ଗିଭିଂ ଆଣ୍ଡ ସର୍ଭିସ୍ ଟେକିଂ। ସପୋଜ ସେମିତି ଯଦି କିଛି ଡେଥ୍ କେସ୍ ଆଉ କିଛି ଏମିତି ଟାଇପ୍ର କାମ ହେଲା, ଆମେ କାହାକୁ କାହାର ହେଲ୍ପ ନେଇଥାଉ? ବାରିକ ବା ଧୋବା, है ना? ସେମାନେ ଆସିକି ଯେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଡ୍ରେସ୍ କ୍ଲିନ୍ ନ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ ସେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ଟା ହେବାନି, ନା? ତ ତାଙ୍କର ତ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି ଏଇ କାମ ପଡୁଛି ତାଙ୍କର ବିନା ଏଇ କାମଟା ପସିବଲ ନୁହେଁ। ଆମେ ବାହାର ଲଣ୍ଡ୍ରି ବାଲାକୁ ନ ଡାକି ସେଇ ଗାଁର ତାଙ୍କୁ ଡାକିଥାଉ, ବିକଜ ସିନ୍ସ ଜେନେରେସନ ତାଙ୍କର ସେଇ କାମ ହେଲା କରି ଆସିଛନ୍ତି। ତ ଇନ୍ ରିଟର୍ନ ସେ ସପୋଜ ବ୍ରାହ୍ମୀଣ ଆସି ପୂଜା କଲେ, ଛାଡ଼ ମୁଁ ସେ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ପରେ, we have one more, okay, you understood judge money relation jota ki service giving and service taking. So women's contribution to occupational continuity is carried out within patrilineal limits. Um, Also there is food and rituals, etc., marriage and sexual relations, uh, um, let's talk about tribe gender stratification. This is important. Tribe gender stratification and change. So here there is the relationship between tribe gender and stratification and social change is um, multifaceted and it varies across cultures. Like in many traditional societies, tribal structures uh, it play a crucial or central role in shaping class social relations, including gender roles and stratification systems. So, understanding how these factors interact, it is a key to understand social hierarchy and the dynamics of social change. Okay, so tribe and social stratification କଥା ଯେତେବେଳେ କହୁଛେ, tribes are often defined by kinship systems. Kinship means the relationship which is based through blood or through marriage. So tribes are often defined by kinship systems where social order is based on family lineage, age or clan affiliation. And social stratification within tribal societies is typically uh, less rigid than in state-based societies. But there are still distinctions which is based on status, wealth, or uh, leadership roles. So tribe and stratification color, then gender in tribal stratification. Okay, gender roles in tribal societies are often shaped by traditional beliefs and cultural norms, which dictate the division of labor rights and responsibilities for men and women. So In many tribes, men are typically assigned the roles in warfare, politics, and economic production, like hunting, farming, and herding, cattle herd, while women often focus on the domestic duties and child rearing. Uh, these in this work they are being involved. So these roles contribute to gendered stratification within the community. Okay, so there are one more thing, that is patriarchal structures, which is common, but there are also examples of matrilineal or matriarchal tribes where women hold significant social, economic, and political power. Um, okay, so and then um, change and uh, uh, in tribal context, change and social mobility. Social change, what is social change? The change in the society. So social change in tribal societies often it occurs slowly, as it is deeply rooted in tradition and cultural practices. So however, the external forces such as colonialism, modernization, or globalization, it can challenge traditional structures, and it brings about transformations in gender relations and stratification. So, educational opportunities, economic development, and political movements can promote gender equality by altering access to resources and participation in public life. I'll give one example. Women in some tribes have gained more access to education and political positions through these changes. Okay, so however, such shifts can also lead to conflict within tribes, as older generations may resist change, perceiving it as a threat to their cultural identity. Okay, so that's all about this unit. You have conclusion also to read, but I'm not going to do it. Let's now discuss. This unit 27 is over. Okay, let's now talk about unit 28, that is theories of origin of caste system. This is very easiest um, portion. Okay, in this block, theories of origin of caste system. First is definition of caste. First, uh, caste, the word is derived from the Latin word castus, which means pure, or the Portuguese word casta, that means race or lineage or pure stock. Okay, it is mentioned somewhere in 149. This is third or fourth. Sorry, first paragraph under the definition of caste. You have to at least remember 2 to 3 definitions of this concept. Okay, so Varna, according to Manu, are 4 divisions into which the castes are grouped. Um, uh, then comes, this is important in page number 150, second paragraph, according to Risley classification ଯାହା ବି emphasize କରିଛନ୍ତି, please ଏଠି ଟିକେ ଦେଖିବ. um, Risley emphasized the social and cultural significance of caste in Indian society during the colonial period. Okay, his definition highlights um, uh, the key elements that characterize caste as a hereditary and endogamous group with shared rituals. Okay, so it Ketkar, how he has defined the caste is also there. This is just 2 to 3 definition is okay. Now come to the theories of origin of caste system. Um, first is the divine origin theory. Um, this is in page number, I'm in page number 152, the column A, the divine origin. Divine origin theory is what? Divine origin theory of caste system posits that the caste system is originated as a divinely ordained social order. Divinely ordained social order embedded in Hindu religious texts and beliefs. So, according to this theory, divine origin theory, the caste system is seen not just as a social or economic construct, but as a sacred system intended by the gods to maintain social harmony and cosmic order, or we say dharma. Okay, so the origin of the caste system is often traced to the Rig Veda. Rig Veda, one of the oldest Hindu texts. Okay, so what are the different concepts related in divine origin theory? Here comes the Purusha Sukta or the Rig Veda. Purusha Sukta kaun? It is a hymn in the Rig Veda which describes the creation of the universe and the social order. So, according to this hymn, the god, the Purusha or the cosmic being, uh, sacrificed himself to create the world and its various components. So, from his body, the four varnas were born. Four varnas means the four castes were born. What are the four castes? These Brahmin, Kshatriya, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. Brahmins are the priests and the scholars. They were created from the Purusha's mouth. ମାନେ ପାଟିରୁ ସେ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି. Mouth to perform rituals and teach. Then Kshatriyas, they are the warriors and the rulers. They emerge from his arms to protect the people and maintain order. ସେମାନେ କାନ୍ଧରୁ ବାହାରିଛନ୍ତି Kshatriyas ମାନେ. Then Vaishyas, they are the merchants or the farmers. They came from his thighs to engage in trade and agriculture. Okay, and lastly, Sudras, they are the laborers or the servants who were born from his feet to serve the other caste. Padur Janmanechanti Sudras. Okay, so this divine creation of the caste is interpreted as a manifestation of cosmic order, where each caste has a specific role and purpose in the universe. So the system is thus seen as an essential part of the world's structure designed by the divine for the smooth functioning of society. Okay, so here comes one more key concept comes in this theory: dharma and the divine law. Um, Dharma means the moral or religious duties that each caste has to fulfill. Dharma means the moral or religious duties. This system of duties is believed to be divinely prescribed and intended to maintain social and cosmic balance. For example, um the Brahmins, they have the duty of teaching and performing rituals. Brahmin ମାନେ ସବୁବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ritual perform କରନ୍ତି, while Sudras are assigned the duty of serving the other caste. ହେଲା, ଅନ୍ୟ caste ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଶୂଦ୍ର ଆସି ସେମାନେ treat କରନ୍ତି. Uh, not cheat, treat. Okay. Then comes the concept of purity and pollution. Purity and pollution. The divine order justifies the concept of ritual purity and pollution. Means the lower caste, the Dalits, or the untouchables. ये जो purity pollution कथा को, okay. So people from lower caste, especially the Dalits, they were often seen as ritually impure, and contact with them was believed to contaminate those from higher caste. Okay, ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ contact ରହିଲେ ସେମାନେ ବି pollute କରିଦେବେ higher caste କୁ, ଏଇଟା କୁହାଯାଉଛି. This concept was rooted in religious ideas of spiritual cleanliness and cosmic order as ordained by the divine. Okay. So a divine origin what is the implication? Implication is what? Social hierarchy, there is inequality, cultural and religious justification. Okay, এগুলা. Then comes karma and transmigration. This is in also page number 152, the column B. Karma and transmigration. Okay, যেটা কি in caste system. So transmigration means or reincarnation. They are deeply intertwined within the caste system in Hindu philosophy. Karma means the actions. An individual's caste is determined by his actions or karma in previous lives. आर नहीं लास्ट जन्म रे जहाँ कर्म करथिले है ना तार फलाफलटा नेक्स्ट जन्म रे आमे सेई कास्ट रे जन्म नेइछि, and this is thought to influence their social position in the current life. So, what is karma? Karma in Hinduism, it refers to the principle of cause and effect, where an individual's actions, whether good or bad, in one life directly affect their fate in future lives. Na? Good karma, bad karma, এটা ଆସିବ, and transmigration କଥା କହିଲେ reincarnation or the samsara. refers to the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. So, according to Hindu belief, the soul is immortal and undergoes repeated births in different bodies based on the accumulated karma. On the basis of our karma, हमें जो जन्म नहीं था वो, है ना? सेटा. The soul's next life, its caste, social position, or circumstance is determined by the karma of its previous lives. ଆମେ ଆର ଜନ୍ମରେ କ'ଣ ହେବା, କୋଉ କାଷ୍ଟ, କୋଉ ସୋସିଆଲ ପୋଜିସନ, କୋଉ ସର୍କମଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସରେ ଆମେ କୋଉଠି ଜନ୍ମ ନେବା, ସେଇଟା ଆମର ଏଇ ଜନ୍ମର ଯୋଉ କର୍ମଟା ଡିସାଇଡ୍ କରିବ। ଆମେ ଯଦି ଭଲ କାମ କରିଥିବା ଦେନ୍ କୋଉଠି ପହଞ୍ଚିବା, ଯଦି ଖରାପ କରିଛେ ଦେନ୍ ଓକେ ସେଇଟା। So the ultimate goal of life is to attain moksha. Moksha means salvation or liberation from the cycle of samsara. Man totally samsara ro mukti paija through spiritual growth and the accumulation of good karma. So what is the relationship between karma, transmigration and caste? Relationship, please you check. Okay. Uh, this is okay. We have only 15 minutes, guys. So now let's come to the role of no, no, okay, just role of dharma. Sorry, not role of dharma. This is okay, this is important. Karma, transmigration, and the modern caste system. This is important. This is mentioned somewhere. In contemporary society, the belief in karma and transmigration still influences the caste system. Though social mobility and legal reforms like the abolition of untouchability in India's constitution have challenged its rigid structure. So, despite legal reforms, caste based discrimination persists in some areas, and many still see their caste position as a reflection of their spiritual progress or lack thereof. So, the concept of karma and transmigration have historically served as a spiritual justification for the caste system in India, and suggesting that caste positions are determined by the moral and spiritual actions of an individual in their past lives. Okay, let's now talk about the occupational theory. This is in page number 154, occupational theory. এই থিওরিটা ଦିଆଯାଇ କିଏ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ନେସଫିଲ୍ଡ this theory is propounded by H. Nesfield, who is one of the significant. This is one of the significant theories attempting to explain the origins and structure of caste in India. Okay, occupational theory. এটা কোন কହୁଛି the origin and structure of the caste in India. So Nesfield ସେ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି ଜଣେ British administrator and scholar. He has argued that the caste system was primarily based on the division of labor in society, specifically through the occupation people engaged in. Okay, ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର occupation କୁ ନେଇ ତାଙ୍କର decide ହେଇଛି caste system ଟା based କାହା ଉପରେ based ନା ତାଙ୍କର occupation ବା division of labor. So according to his theory, the caste system emerged as a social stratification based on the occupational roles individuals or groups perform within the society. Okay. ଯେମିତି for example Brahmins, they are associated with religious, intellectual and educational roles. Kshatriyas ସେମାନେ warfare କରିବେ, administration କରିବେ, rulers, soldiers. Vaishyas ସେମାନେ trade କରିବେ, agriculture and commerce ସେଟା ସବୁ କରିବେ, and Shudras they perform the manual labor and they work as the servants or the artisans. Okay. Then hereditary nature of occupations, caste ଅଛି, hereditary nature. So Nesfield emphasized that once an individual's family became associated with a specific occupation, for example, ଜଣେ କମ୍ମାର, କମ୍ମାର ମାନେ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଜନ୍ମରେ ସେ ତାଙ୍କର ନେକ୍ସଟ ତାଙ୍କର ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିର ଯିଏ ଇନହେରିଟ ମାନେ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିର ପିଲାମାନେ ସେମାନେ ବି ସେଇ କମାର କାମ କରିବେ, ତାଙ୍କ ପୁଅ କମାର, ତାଙ୍କ ପୁଅ କମାର, ଏମିତି ଚାଲିଥିବ। The children inherited the occupation of their parents and thus their caste position was determined by the family's profession. Familyର profession ଯାହା, ଯିଏ ବ୍ରାହ୍ମୀଣ ପୂଜା କରୁଛନ୍ତି ପୁରୋହିତ, ତାଙ୍କର ସବୁ ଜନ୍ମ ନେକ୍ସଟ ସମସ୍ତେ ପୁରୋହିତ ହିଁ ହେବେ। ଏଇଟା ହେଉଛି hereditary. Okay. Then social and ritual division. Nesfield, he recognized that the ritual purity associated with certain castes. He argues that this ritual division arose later as a complement to the occupational roles rather than being the primary factor for caste differentiation. So, say, कौन क्वेश्चन कि the higher caste such as the Brahmins were seen as the purest and uh, purest combined because he is involved in spiritual and intellectual pursuit, and the lower caste the Sudras they are impure because they are कौन ସେମାନେ जो manual labor କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି leather working है ना ଏଇ ସବୁ କାମ ପାଇଁ they are the impure. Okay, so uh, this is occupational theory. Then comes tribes and religious theory. This is in page number 154. What do we have? Okay, 155. Tribe and religious theory of caste. It explores the origin and structure of the caste system in India by focusing on the relationship between tribal communities and the religion. So this theory basically it posits that caste divisions and the hierarchical structure of Indian society were shaped by tribal customs, tribal beliefs, and rituals, later influenced and transformed by the religious and social changes brought about by Hinduism and other major religions. Okay, so a tribes and religious theory, what are the other concepts related? Tribal origin of caste. Uh, uh, this theory, tribes and religious theory, suggests that original castes were in fact tribal communities or tribal groups who were later incorporated into the mainstream Hindu society. So, tribal societies, which were relatively egalitarian and non hierarchical, eventually began to undergo a process of assimilation into the Hindu social structure, resulting in the formation of the caste system. Okay, and a theory रे भी religion and social structure କଥା ଆସୁଛି ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି we are talking about cultural and religious assimilation. Religious beliefs and rituals from Hinduism were adopted and incorporated into the tribal customs, leading to the formation of distinct castes within the society. Tribal माने ଆମର जो religious beliefs and rituals को जोटा adopt କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ also incorporate କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ customs. Okay, so religious theory suggests that over time these tribes began to be classified based on their perceived purity or impurity. For instance, Brahmins, जो माने ritually pure, and the tribes involved in the occupations, they are the impure, such as leather working, manual labor, etc., etc. Okay, so then it's caste. Sorry. This is family and marriage. Play family and marriage टा तुम्हें पढ़ी दबो. Very easy. Hmm. Then caste system through ages. This is page number 157. We have only 7 minutes. So here there are four original Varnas, etc. It's discussed. He distinguishes the following four categories. ପିଲେ ଏଇଟା ତମକୁ ପଢିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ହେଲା. Story ଟା ପଢିଦବ ଆଉ. Okay. So in short, ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା caste system through the ages କହିଦଉଛି. Okay. The caste system in India has evolved, it deeply shaping the social structure and cultural fabric of Indian society. Okay, it is influenced by historical, religious, political, and social factors. So Vedic period रे ଆମର 1500 BC ରୁ 600 BC ଯୋଉଠି ଆମେ କହୁଛେ କ'ଣ ନା origin of caste ଯୋଉଟା କି ऋग वेद with reference to ऋग वेद caste କଥା ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କହୁ, so there is four types of varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Okay, and there is introduction of ritual purity. Okay, so over the time, the concept of ritual purity and pollution started to take the root, with Brahmins considered as pure, and Sudras as the most impure. Then সেটা Vedic period কথা গলা, then epic and post Vedic period যেটা কি 600 BC to 500 CE. So there comes the rise of the jati system. So during this period, the concept of jati or subcaste began to evolve. These jatis were based on the occupations, localities, and kinship ties. So, unlike the Varna system, jatis were much more localized and specific in nature. It forms the basis for the complex social stratification system, which would characterize later in Indian society. তারপরে আসিব কোন না Buddhism and Jainism, ଯୋଉଟାକି they emerged as movements that challenged the caste system. Okay, uh, these religions rejected the rigid social hierarchy and promoted the idea of equality for all individuals, etc., particularly in terms of spiritual practice. Okay, তারপরে আসিব মনুস্মৃতি যেটাকি legal codification. Then comes the medieval period, that is 500 CE to 1500 CE, where we talk about Mughal period and Islamic influence. Then we talk about the social reforms and bhakti movement. Um, like several social and religious reform movements arose, such as Bhakti and Sufi movements. These movements called for spiritual equality and emphasizing devotion over caste and social status. So, ଏଠି reformers like Ramanuja, Guru Nanak, Kabir ଏମାନଙ୍କର ଟିକେ focus କରିବ. Then comes decline of mobility and rise of rigid caste hierarchy. ତାପରେ fourth ରେ colonial period जोटा कि 1500 CE ରୁ 1947 CE. British colonialism, ଯେତେବେଳେ British colonial rule, ତାଙ୍କର କ'ଣ impact on caste system. They surveyed and codified Indian society. Often they have simplified the complexities of caste into a rigid caste hierarchy. So British categorized Indians based on caste, using it as a tool for administrative control. Then comes social reform movements, ଯୋଉଠିକି reformer Raja Raman Roy, Ishwar Vidyasagar, Ambedkar, Swami Vivekananda, and their work on untouchability, child marriage, discrimination, etc. Okay, so then caste and the Indian national movement, সেটা আসিব ଗାନ୍ଧୀଙ୍କର ଟିକେ untouchability heritage ସେଟା ଦେଖିବ. And fourth is post independence period ଯୋଉଟା କି 1947 CE ରୁ till present. Okay, so here comes constitutional abolition of untouchability. Like after independence in 1947, the Indian Constitution formally abolished untouchability and the discrimination based on caste. So the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, they were given the special rights and reservations to uplift their status in society. ହେଲା ତାପରେ କାଷ୍ଟ ବେସ୍ଡ ରିଜର୍ଭେସନ୍ ଆସିଲା ଯୋଉଟାକି OBC ରିଜର୍ଭେସନ୍. ଆଣ୍ଡ ଦେନ୍ କଣ୍ଟେମ୍ପୋରାରୀ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ସବୁ କ'ଣ ହେଇଛି, ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍, ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ, ଏଜୁକେସନ୍. ଦେନ୍ ଦଲିତ ରାଇଟ୍ସ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ. Okay, সেটা তারপরে now let's look at 160, page number 160. This is caste, not an isolated phenomenon. um, so the caste system in India is often viewed as a unique and isolated social structure. This is deeply rooted in our history and culture. So, however, to understand its complexity and persistence, uh, it is crucial to recognize that caste is not an isolated phenomena. Instead, it is interconnected with broader social, economic, political, and historical forces. Okay, so here comes caste and religion. যেটা কি religious foundation, Hindu religious beliefs, Varna system, ritual purity, এটা আনিব. Then religious influence on other societies. Then caste and economy, जोटिकी occupational segmentation, economic inequality, then modern economy and caste, and third caste and politics, जोटिकी caste based politics, the voting patterns, then reservation system, uh, politicization of caste as a tool for mobilization and social engineering, then caste and social movement, जोटी Ambedkar hierarchical caste structure, ଏଇସବୁ ଅଛି social justice, ସେଇଟା ଟିକେ ଦେଖିବ. And fourth is caste and social stratification, ସେଠି life chances, education, health, social mobility, intersectionality, and last is uh, not last caste and education and caste and globalization. Okay, so overall, in to conclude, caste is not an isolated phenomenon. It is intricately tied to religion, economy, politics, social stratification, education, and even the forces of globalization. So, understanding this caste requires a recognition of its multidimensional nature and its deep connections to broader social, cultural, political, and economic systems. Okay, so this is about this unit. So your block 7 is over. Tomorrow we will discuss block 8. Uh, this is issues of modernity. We have 3 more units left. So if you have any doubt, you can text me. Okay. Is there any doubt? ଆଜି କିଛି ବୁଝି ହେଲା ତ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know.
Ma'am, and
Ask me.
ma'am, is the conflict theory and the Marxian theory both one and same?
Karl Marx is basically he belongs from conflict school of thought, conflict theory. Karl Marx conflict theorist he Karl Marx, है ना? जेमती
Okay.
Durkheim, whenever we write Durkheim, the functional thinker Durkheim, we start like this. Semti Karl Marx, the conflict sociologist, he has talked about this. Okay.
Ma'am, in the class you told that Karmas focused more on the economic side of the means economic side, while Weber focused on the class, gender, and class and
Uh,
gender
b- uh,
and status.
uh, See, Karl Marx is talking about more. He is focusing on the economic perspective, means the means of production, means of production and the modes of production. Okay, kaha pakhre kete achi. But here, in case of Weber, he is talking about the social prestige. Kaharo kete prestige achi, kete power achi. Sei basis re se class system ko define korchanti. Okay.
Ma'am, even Karma said means thoughts about the uh, gender role play in the households.
I didn't understand. What say? Again, repeat.
Ma'am, Karmas have also
Huh.
thoughts about the gender role play means gender differentiation in the households, like work means division of work.
No. There, one of the critic, I don't, I forget his name. He has criticized that Karl Marx is more of talking about this, the perspective from the mains, but women perspective, like the gendered age of household work, এগুলো সব কিছু Karl Marx totally he has ignored. These are the criticisms that I focused on. This is actually in the books.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, please, everyone, I am telling you, please read this textbook. And IGNOU material is the bestest material, because in our for our teaching in our university, usually we do follow IGNOU material first. First and foremost, whenever I get any topic, I check at the same time from the IGNOU material. Okay, and this is the best material. And if you are preparing for civil services or anything, please do read IGNOU material. This is the best, because this they is written by genuine professors. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, with block 8. You can
Yes,
leave.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.